Nearly 4 million Russians left Russia within 3 months. Russia is working on trading with unfriendly states. US plans to battle illegal fishing in the Pacific.
Hello, I'm Johnny. Thank you for joining us on FUNDAY News. It's May 11th, Wednesday, and here are your top stories. Russian President Vladimir Putin's Victory Day speech passed without a single direct mention of Ukraine or a declaration of an all-out war. Instead, he ordered to set up a working group to make plans for trading with friendly states in foreign currencies on May 9th. We'll have this story later. First, let's look over the unfriendly move made against Russia. According to reports released by Russia's Federal Security Service, more than 3.8 million Russians have left the country in the first 3 months of 2022.
The Moscow Times reports Russians who fled out of opposing the war were joined by those escaping rumored border closures, martial law, and mass mobilization. According to FSB, former Soviet countries are major destinations, as they have seen significant spikes in arrival. The highest number of arriving Russians were reported in Abkhazia, with 744,548. The human rights organization Pirovit Fadil reports this week that FSB agents have started asking the relatives of Russians who have fled the country to persuade the new immigrants to return.
Reuters reports Russian President Putin on May 9th ordered the creation of a working group on international payments whose tasks will include figuring out terms of transactions with unfriendly states. The working group will come up with an infrastructure for international payments, including in Russian rubles, with trading partners from foreign states and territories that carry out unfriendly actions against Russia. And it will also look into payment terms in rubles and other national currencies with friendly countries.
Reuters said the group will be led by Presidential Advisor Mashkin Maryshkin and include top officials such as Central Bank Governor Elverina Nabulina. The working group is also tasked with finding measures to reduce the risk associated with the freezing of nearly half of Russia's 640 billion of foreign reserves. Russia's Finance Minister Anton Siluanov said in a state TV interview in March that 300 billion of Russia's 640 billion foreign currency reserves were frozen by Western sanctions.
The U.S. Indo-Pacific Coordinator Kurt Campbell told a forum at Washington Center for Strategic and International Studies on May 9th. In the next couple of weeks, the U.S. will announce plans to better battle illegal fishing in the Pacific. Campbell said we're looking at capabilities that will continue to track shipping when vessels fishing illegally turn off electronic identifiers. Several countries in the Indo-Pacific region said that China's vast fishing fleet often violates their exclusive economic zones and causes environmental damage and economic losses.
The U.S. Coast Guard has said illegal fishing has outpaced piracy as the top global maritime security threat and risks heightening tensions among countries vying for overexploited fishing stocks. It has called on China to exercise more responsible control over its vessels. Campbell said a major set of capabilities designed to improve maritime dominance awareness will also be announced. His remarks were made when asked about growing cooperation between China and the Solomon Islands.
Media reports German officials are preparing for any sudden halt in Russian gas supplies with an emergency package that could include taking control of critical firms. Officials said Germany wanted to avert an escalation, such as an European gas embargo, and they now fear Russia could cut off gas flows unilaterally as well. Last month, Berlin approved a legal change to allow it to take control of energy companies, and it is now discussing how to take control of the PCK refinery operated by Russia's Rosneft in Schwedt near Poland.
Russian gas accounted for 55% of Germany's import last year, and Berlin has come under pressure to unwind a business relationships that critics says is helping to fund Russia's war on Ukraine. Under a framework in place, the German government would back granting further loans and guarantees to prop up energy firms, helping them cope with soaring prices, and could take critical companies such as refineries under its wing. PCK refinery accounts for most of Germany's remaining Russian oil imports.
Angry protesters in Sri Lanka have burned down several homes belonging to the ruling Rajapaksas and MPs on the night of May 9th, after they were attacked by government supporters during the daytime. The violence capped a day of unrest that saw PM Mahinda Rajapaksa quit amid mass protests at his government's handling of the economic crisis, but it failed to assuage demonstrators who attempted to storm the official residence while he was held up inside. An island-wide curfew has been extended to May 11th morning as authorities seek to quell the violence.
BBC reports. On May 9, Sri Lanka government supporters clashed violently with protesters in the capital, Colombo, outside the premier's residence, and then again at the main protest site. As night falls, mobs of protesters across the country torched houses belonging to the premier, various ministers, and members of parliament. Sri Lanka is facing its worst economic crisis since gaining independence from Britain in 1948, and people are furious because the cost of living has become unaffordable.
Media reports the U.S. Biden administration announced on May 9th that 20 internet companies have agreed to provide discounted services to people with low incomes. This could effectively make tens of millions of households eligible for free service through an already existing federal subsidy. With the new commitment from the internet providers, some 48 million households will be eligible for $30 monthly plans for 100 megabytes per second or higher speed services.
The $1 trillion infrastructure package passed by Congress last year included $14.2 billion funding for the Affordable Connectivity Program, which provides $30 monthly subsidies on the internet service for 48 million of lower-income households. Once the eligible households sign up with one of 20 providers participating in the program, their internet service will be fully paid for with the government subsidy. The 20 internet companies provide service in areas where 80% of the U.S. population lives, including 50% of the rural communities.
May 5th was World Password Day. However, on the same day, a joint effort by tech giants Microsoft, Google, and Apple showed their commitment to building a passwordless sign-in across all of the mobile, desktop, and browser platforms that they control in the coming year. A passwordless login process will let users choose their phones as the main authentication device for apps, websites, and other digital services. There will be no need to remember login details across services or compromise security by reusing the same password in multiple places.
The cross-platform functionality is being made possible by a standard called FIDO. The president of FIDO Alliance, Sampath Srinivasan, said, "An extended FIDO support will make it possible for websites to implement, for the first time, an end-to-end passwordless experience with phishing-resistant security. This includes both the first sign-in to the website and repeat logins. When passkey support becomes available across the industry in 2022 and 2023, we'll finally have the internet platform for a truly passwordless future."
Tesla has halted most of its production at its Shanghai plant due to problems securing parts for its electric vehicles. Reuters said Tesla's main supplier of wire harnesses, Aptiv, stopped shipping from a Shanghai plant that supplies Tesla and General Motors after COVID-19 infections were found among the workers. Last week, Tesla was planning to increase production to pre-lockdown levels next week. But Shanghai authorities have tightened the city-wide lockdown imposed more than a month ago.
Media reports. An auto association said last week it estimated overall auto sales in China dropped 48% in April, as zero-COVID lockdowns shut factories, limited traffic to showrooms, and put the brakes on spendings. The Tesla Shanghai plant plans to manufacture less than 200 vehicles on May 10th, the day it halted most of its productions, far less than the roughly 1,200 units it had been building each day since shortly after its reopening on April 19th following a 22-day closure.
And that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us on FUNDAY News. Let's make every day a fun day. I'm Johnny Wu, your host. I will see you next time.